Good evening. The Conejo Valley Unified School District Board of Education regular board meeting of May 6, 2026 will please come to order. Pursuant to the Ralph M. Brown Act, this is a meeting of the Board of Education in public, and only items on the agenda will be discussed this evening. We invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to welcome everyone to the meeting and make the following announcements. The board values your input on the important education matters we face. Therefore, the district is providing multiple opportunities for public participation. Public viewing is available through internet live stream on the CVUSD website. Please note the different opportunities to provide public or written comments to the board can be found on the main page of the board agenda. Members of the public wishing to submit a written comment have the option to email their comments to sfelman@conejousd.org by 3 p.m. today. Board members were provided with these written comments prior to the meeting. Persons wishing to address the board in person should fill out a blue speaker's card and hand it to Mrs. Fellman at the secretary's desk. If you wish to speak on a specific agenda item, please turn in your card prior to that item's section on the agenda. If the school district business you wish to speak about is not on tonight's agenda, please turn in your card before the public comment section. If you intend to donate time to another speaker, please hand in both speaker cards at the same time to Mrs. Fellman. If you wish to register your concern but not speak at the podium, please fill out a yellow public statement form and turn it in at the secretary's desk. Board members will be provided with these statements after the board meeting. Did I not do closed session? Oh my God. Remember all that. Okay.
She's not repeating.
Wow, that was pretty bad. Yeah, no, I jumped right after a whole section. I am so sorry, and I've done this before many times, so I should know better. So the board is adjourning from closed session where the following items permitted by law was considered. I was wondering what you were.
I was trying to hit.
Don't be subtle. Just say, Karen, you've messed up. All right, 1B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2, one case. No readout is provided for this agenda item. Item 1C, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, case OAH 2025-110870. Trustee Goldberg made the motion to approve the settlement agreement for this case, seconded by Trustee Powell. The motion carries 5-0. And just remember, I did welcome you just a couple minutes ago to the meeting. All right, so let me jump back into my opening comments. So if you wish to register your concern tonight but not speak at the podium, please fill out a yellow public statement form and turn it in at the secretary's desk. Board members will be provided with these statements after the board meeting. Please be advised that a recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast for our live stream audience, and the recording and broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Smoking is not permitted in this building or anywhere on any district property. Copies of the agenda are available on the table in the board lobby. Please silence all mobile phones. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Trustee Powell.
I'll move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns?
Yes.
Trustee Gill?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. And I do want to take this moment to recognize that Trustee Kearns will be having a birthday on Friday. So hence he has his little tiara. So please join me in saying happy birthday to Trustee Kearns. Yeah, so happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right. We'll recognize some more students now. We're at item 2E, right? Yeah. Thank you. All right, so first off, we are going to recognize the California State PTA Reflections Art Program winners. So I am going to turn it over.
Evening, Board President Sylvester, board members, Dr. McLaughlin, and district leadership. It is a privilege to be here tonight to recognize two Lang Ranch Elementary students who have earned California State PTA Reflections Awards of Merit, a recognition that honors exceptional creativity, artistic expression, and dedication to the arts. This year's theme was I Belong. Our students are the only award of merit in their age category. First, in the category of photography, we are proud to recognize Finley Bronk for her submission titled Flowery Perfection. And in the category of film production, we celebrate Caden Paulson for his production titled Fish Out of Water. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but we are proud of his accomplishment.
Hi everyone, good evening. Christy Keener from Redwood, and I am proud to introduce tonight our 6th grade Redwood student who represented Redwood and earned the state PTA in the category of film for her submission, The Quiet Queue. Congratulations to Hayden Lawrence.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Doug Dean, Sycamore Canyon. I've got two students today for us to marvel over. Our first one, Miss Peyton Connell. She got her Award of Merit in Visual Arts from the California State PTA. So congratulations to you. Not only are you an amazing artist, athlete, scholar. So congratulations, Pay. You're going to make your way up. Congrats. All right, and now, Miss Rowan Zollers, who this just in, got an Award of Merit at the national level. So congratulations to you, young lady, as well as an Award of Excellence in Dance Choreography for the 2nd year in a row. You're a marvel, you're amazing, same kind of thing. Athlete, scholar, thank you so much and congratulations. So glad you're with us.
Thank you. Steve Lapierre from Newbury Park High School. I'm proud to recognize two outstanding students as California State PTA Reflections winners. Not here tonight, Brody Wright, but here tonight and recognized for dance, Brooklyn Molinitsky. Brooklyn. And then, here you go.
Good evening, everybody. Carlos Cardenas from Westlake High School. We want to definitely take the time to recognize and honor our California State PTA Reflections winners. Thank you for your courage and for representing with such heart and insight. Our first student will be Lily Love Rodriguez. Okay, you're gonna walk around and shake everyone's hands up. And we'd also like to recognize and honor our second student, Eric Zhang.
All right, as everyone files in, we are now going to recognize the 2026 Ventura County Science Fair winners.
Good evening. Good evening. My name's Diana Mayorka, and I'm a teacher at Los Cerritos Middle School, and I am here tonight with Principal LaRue to present awards to our science scholars who successfully competed at the Ventura County Science Fair. The Ventura County Office of Education Science Fair invites all public and private school students in grades 6 through 12 to compete. And often students who love science and wish to participate struggle to find support. However, some schools have really made science a priority, and that builds confidence in their students. And so we have a lot of representation among the winners from those schools. Los Cerritos has a long history participating at the County Science Fair. We love it because the students develop their own questions, solve problems, and further scientific knowledge. This year was particularly special because we developed partnerships between Los Cerritos and Sequoia Middle School and Thousand Oaks High School as the participating teachers encouraged one another, built our enthusiasm, and shared best practices. There were 328 projects judged at the county level this year, and Conejo schools were very well represented among the winners. I will now share the names of the Los Cerritos winners and their project titles and categories. In biochemistry, second place for the effect of berry ripeness on DNA extraction, Cariel Artavia. Second place in chemistry for humidifier water effects on stovetop flames and carbon monoxide levels, Gregory Estrin. Third place in chemistry, when oceans turn acidic, what happens to coral skeletons, Olivia Foster. Second place in aerodynamics, the effect of airplane design on distance and angle flown, Aidan Kenny. Second place in social psychology for the effect of background noise on puzzle completion, Neva Patel. First place in physical product science for the effect of mascara brand on lash quality, Lulu Robertson. Third place for alternative energy, the effect of pedal speed on electrical energy output, Arjun Tadapalli. And finally, first place in physics and astronomy for the effect of light color on temperature, Sophia Zhang. All these projects showed creative thinking, careful observation, and that testing new ideas can make a difference in the world. Please congratulate these students.
All right, good evening. My name is Carla DiDomizio, principal at Sequoia Middle School. We were here last year with one student. And after that evening I left, I texted Miss Reyes right over here with 4 words. And for those that know me well, I had an idea. And this is the idea. We were able to branch out and really stretch this wonderful opportunity for our students. And Miss Reyes will be here presenting all of them.
Good evening. I want to backpedal a little bit. We have not participated in the science fair at Sequoia for a while, and we were having discussions about how we can start to incorporate that because we really think it's important for students to ask those questions, but we also have standards to meet, and we're transitioning to IB school. And last year, Ammon Grano, he participated in the science fair, and he was really excited to share that with us. And he said, Ms. Reyes, I want to start this club at Sequoia. And just so happens, Ms. DiDemizio says, how do we make this happen? And I said, you put the brain trust together. You put a student who's really motivated to want to do that. You provide a space, which is what I had, to open it up to our students. And we, during our club week, we set up a sign. And Ammon pretty much took the lead to show and model what it takes to participate in the science fair. We had about 25 students show interest in participating in the science fair. We had 15 students that came regularly to our monthly meetings. They took time out of their lunch to attend, and they started generating questions, looking up what kind of project ideas they could do. And Ammon was there to show them a very high-level project, and luckily none of them got scared away, and they decided to pick a topic, and we met. Ammon applied for a GATE grant, and the GATE grant provided materials such as board, cardstock, glue, a little bit of party items afterwards to kind of help get our club going. So really a lot of this was Ms. DiDemizio's want for our school to highlight some of our learners, and a student who was really passionate about what he's doing and wanting to share his love for his school and his love of science and to make that possible. So I really appreciate you, Ammon, coming up to me and asking to get that going. So, yeah. So, our first student is not here, Sarah Agrawal. She worked along two other students to do, and they placed third in plant biology. So she's not here, Sarah Agrawal. And then we have Akshaj Bansal. He placed first place in alternative energy. His project title was Hydrogen as an Alternative Fuel. He was actually recognized by a corporate sponsor and was awarded $500. He was also awarded a grant from another air and space organization to help fund his future projects and interests. Along with Sarah, we have Oliver Evans and Diksha Vijay Kumar, who is also not here. Ollie and his group placed third in plant biology for plants in dark versus light. And they came in with their plants, and they were really eager and really our cheerleaders in the science club room. We have Amal Neeson and Nilan Ramesh. They worked on a project on environmental engineering. Their project design was water in dry areas, and they placed first in their category. And then we have Ammon Grano. His category was environmental, air, and water, and his project title was The Effects of Polyvinyl Alcohol on the Dissolvable Film in Tide Pools on the Cognitive Function of Zebra Fish. Did I get that right? Okay, good. And Ammon worked with the Thousand Oaks High School department to get that project going. So he was really in our room to get our club going, but he put in a lot of hours and effort outside of school to make his project happen. And then last but not least, we have Neil Vaish, and he placed second in material science, and his project title was, Which is the Most Effective Cleaning Agent for Removing Hard Water Stains? Congratulations, Neil. And as a result of their efforts, we've thought about how we can incorporate some of our new IB programs in design and how we can get our students to participate more. So we anticipate our club growing next year and our program growing and our participation in the science fair just getting bigger and bigger every year. So thank you.
We're back again. Now for our scientists. Oh, my twins, Rishi and Disha. They did at our very first STEAM night that we held in the middle school and did their project on resistance to type 2 diabetes, which is very close to their home because it is in their families. Their presentation, when they got done, I looked at them and went, huh? Brilliant minds, the two of you. As I say, when you arrive every day, good morning, scientists. I am certain that the both of you will change the world for the better. You're amazing humans. You're going to walk around and start with Mrs. Goldberg first, shake their hands, and I'll meet you in the middle. Congratulations to you both.
Okay, from Newbury Park High School, not here today, but recognized as second place at the Ventura County Science Fair for Electronics and Electromagnetics is Arfan Moran Asif. And then third place in Physics and Astronomy, Arth Dalsania. And here with us tonight for Outstanding Academic Achievement, a special award from the Air and Waste Management Association, and qualifying for the 2026 California Science and Engineering Fair, Neve Goodar.
Are we on? Go ahead. All right. Esteemed board members, Dr. McLaughlin, I only see you once a year, district officials, parents, students, guests, and other community members, good evening. Thank you for being here tonight to celebrate our future scientists and engineers from the district, like everybody's here. But I'm going to be representing TO. I'm honored to represent the program Center for Advanced Studies and Research at Thousand Oaks High School. It's a program for students for authentic and hands-on research experience in a public school setting. Many people don't know, so I'm going to say a little bit on the program. Over the course of 3 years, students develop and investigate original questions and design solutions to real-world problems. They then present and defend their findings at the county and the state science and engineering fairs. And from there, they move on. Some of them can move on to the International Science and Engineering Fair, that's known as Regeneron, and then Science Talent Search. So Olivia Johnson is such a student. She'll be representing the entire Ventura County this year. And I think it's the 4th year in a row that TO is sending a student to the ISEF, which is a huge honor, and it's a prestige for us. At its core, the program teaches students how to think, how to question, analyze, and become true problem solvers. It also integrates AP Capstone Diploma program, further strengthening students' research, communication, and critical thinking skills. I'd like to thank our board members and district office admin for supporting student choice and providing pathways that allow every learner to find the program that best fits their goals and help them succeed. And I say this every year, we really, really appreciate that. And parents, if your student has completed a science fair project, then they are ready to take any challenge now in their life. After all, isn't education fundamentally about learning how to think and solve problems? To put things in perspective now, out of 500 Ventura County Science Fair projects this year, 35 qualified for the state total. And then of those, 19 are from CVUSD. So can we have a round of applause, please? And of those 19 projects, 16 are from TO High School. In other words, so we are here tonight to celebrate this incredible accomplishment for CVUSD. So congratulations to our students, parents, and teachers for their outstanding work. And I want to say thanks to Dr. Bergman for always being supportive. Okay, now there's a huge, long list of students. And I'm going to start with Josh from Thousand Oaks High School. These are all Thousand Oaks High School students. And he got a special award, and he placed 3rd in neuroscience. Ariana Joel is 2nd, but she's not here. Jude Morris, that is Psychological Association, special award for you too. Paul Aguirre, Applied Mechanics and Structures, 1st place. Michael Teo, Cellular and Molecular Biology, 1st place. Kyle Sletcher, 3rd place, Chemistry. David Lee, Computational Systems and Analysis, 1st place. He's not here. Matthew Evangelista, Computational Systems and Analysis, 2nd place. Josie Miller, Earth and Environmental, Soil and Pollution, 1st place. Walker Tolefson, Environmental Engineering, 3rd place. Julia P. Dominguez, Food and Nutrition Science, 1st place. Sydney Sweeney, Food and Nutrition. She's not here. Second place. Olivia Johnson, Mammalian and Human Biology.
Just 1 second. I'm a little behind. Still on C.
You need to up your game.
Olivia.
Olivia Johnson, Human Biology and Mammalian Biology, first place, and she's going to be representing us at the International Science and Engineering Fair. Kiona Nadick, Mammalian and Human Biology, second place. Charlene Arya Ratne, Mammalian and Human Biology, third place. Caden Bergstrom, Mathematical Sciences. He's not here. Francesca Kim, Microbiology, second place. Nima Bustani, Microbiology, third place. Isabella, Plant Biology, first place. Lily Unthink, Social Psychology, first place. Sophie Bloom, Social Psychology, third place. Danny Shalhoub, Sociology and Anthropology, first place. Layla Ward, Sociology and Anthropology, second place. Okay, Zoe Maldonado, Sociology and Anthropology, third place. Harmony Pandey, Toxicology, first place. Zoe Sellers, Toxicology, second place. Okay, that's all for now.
Until next year.
Until next year. I know, I'll see you next year.
Oh, why don't you want to take a picture?
Oh, okay.
Jump in there.
Good evening, everybody. Carlos Cardenas again from Westlake High School. We are very proud to stand here today to celebrate our students' achievements and top honors at the Ventura County Science Fair. Their success really is a testament to the culture of curiosity that we've built over at Westlake High School. So we really look forward to congratulating them for their recognitions today. So we're going to start with Safwan Ali. And our second warrior today, Changwoo Alex Lee.
All right. Mrs. Shauna Ashmore is now going to recognize our Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce Teacher of the Year.
Good evening. The Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce has partnered with the Conejo Valley Unified School District since 1991 to honor one teacher each month who engages and supports students in learning by demonstrating high professional standards, engaging with families and the community, and opening doors by recognizing the diverse needs of all learners. The Teacher of the Month recognition enters each teacher honored during the school year as a nominee for both CVUSD Teacher of the Year and Ventura County Teacher of the Year. We are pleased to have Ms. Danielle Borgia joining us from the Chamber this evening, as well as Ms. Terry Culpepper, Principal of Westlake Elementary School. As we recognize this year's recipient during Teacher Appreciation Week. It is my honor and pleasure to announce the 2025-26 Greater Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce CVUSD Teacher of the Year, Natalie Taylor. Natalie has been described by her colleagues as a true cornerstone of the Westlake Elementary School community who opens doors of opportunity for every learner by recognizing and embracing their diverse needs and unique goals. Natalie is known for providing a safe haven for students where they engage, laugh, are supported, and are challenged to grow and thrive. Additionally, Natalie provides feedback to families that is not only informative, but also caring, which empowers families to understand and partner in their child's educational journey. Finally, Natalie is known to wear many hats. She is an expert in special education, a cheerleader, an advocate, a tech guru, a team collaborator, and an emotional support to students and staff alike. She wears all the hats with ease and grace. The Westlake Elementary community and CVUSD appreciate and congratulate Natalie on being this year's Teacher of the Year.
Good evening. On behalf of the Chamber, I just want to send our congratulations. We understand how important the foundation of education is. That ties into our local business community. And I actually had the chance to be principal for a half a day at Westlake Elementary, and so it comes as no surprise that our Teacher of the Year is from that campus. It's a very special place in the school district, and appreciate all of your time and efforts.
All right. Congratulations to everyone who just streamed through, all the scientists and artists and engineers. That was truly gratifying and great. And congrats to our Teacher of the Year. Next up, I am happy and delighted to invite SEDAC, our Special Education DAC Chair, Mandy Pollock, to provide her annual report. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This year in SEDAC, like I feel every year, we have been very busy, doing a lot. We've definitely tried to put a focus in strengthening like our connections with each other and within the district, with our school sites, you know, working on our communication and having like a shared understanding across like district administration, as well as our over 2,400 students and their families that we represent. To help start the year off strong, my incredible Vice Chair, Trina Rodriguez, and I were working over the summer to create a SEDAC rep folder. It's full of resources, and we gave this to every single rep that we have, as well as every member of our executive board, to use as a resource full of their responsibilities, calendars, various resources. As well, to springboard off of that, our SEDAC Connections Committee, chaired by Beth Neal, also paired newer reps with some of our more veteran reps for additional support and connection. We covered a variety of topics in our info and discussions this year. Some of the presentations that we've had include SEDAC 101, which gives our reps an overview of our purpose as SEDAC and their roles as reps. We had an overview of our Disability Inclusion Toolkit by Leanne Holland. We did a presentation on school site councils and the role that SEDAC reps play within those, as well as breakouts to hear about some of their experiences within their school site councils. We got an update on the strategic plan for inclusion. We had a transition to adulthood overview by the VC SELPA, so that was great to hear as well. And then we wrapped up our meetings for the year yesterday with an independence plan presentation for students receiving intensive individualized support. Some of our discussions that we've had that have been really amazing. We had a fantastic parent panel of CVUSD parents sharing their students' transition experiences within CVUSD. So that gave, I mean, we've talked a lot about transitions within SEDAC and outside of SEDAC and how important that is. So to hear those experiences of parents and their students was really helpful, and it was a great, really productive conversation. We also had a grading practices panel with our grade span directors, as well as our special education director, Dr. Shanda Lee. And yesterday, again, we wrapped up with an end of the year reflection discussing successes that we've all had this year across our school sites, any like challenges that we've had, and then areas that we'd like to focus on for next year. So going into next year, we have a strong focus. Our inclusion committee highlights, led by Leanne Holland, who they are absolute workhorses. I'm going to rattle off a list of things that they have done this year for us. They led a drive supporting Conejo Closet, and which led to a collection of 243 inclusive and needed items that include clothing and scent-free products. They provided comprehensive feedback on the strategic plan for inclusion. They created and updated a neurodiversity affirming support statement that our SEDAC members approved that just reaffirms our commitment to inclusive and strength-based practices. Let's see. They updated the Disability Inclusion Toolkit a lot. There's always so much to update. And then they expanded our inclusive Read Across America elementary reading list, which then got shared with our elementary principals as well as our librarians. They created a Disability History Month Disability Rights Roadmap highlighting major milestones in disability history. If you know anything about us, you know we love visuals. To add another visual this year, with the guidance of our special education directors, Dr. Chandelier and Steve Barnes, we created the Transition to Adulthood flyer for families. And that we hope that this document helps our families have a clearer idea of the transition process, high school completion options, and post-high school supports, because it's never too early to know and plan ahead. One thing I'm very excited to mention that we added this year were student voices. We were able to have students from Conejo Academy attend our meetings and report as student reporters. So giving that much needed student voice to our meetings. And just in closing, you know, SEDAC, we currently represent over 2,400 students and their families across CVUSD. And while overall enrollment has declined, the number of students accessing special education services continues to grow, which is a statewide trend, and we're no different. We've seen meaningful growth in inclusion and belonging. You know, I myself have a 17-year-old who accesses special education services, as well as an 8-year-old. And just the difference between the two I have seen, and it's healing in some ways. It's healing in some ways. So, but also we recognize that there's much more important work to do, and that's going to be ongoing. You know, for many of us in SEDAC, this is our heart work. You know, our lived experiences and those of our kids drive us to stay involved and be a part of this work that is so deeply important to us. So, and at its core, and we've talked about this in SEDAC and within DAC as well, this is shared work. You know, ensuring that CVUSD is a place where every student is not only included, but truly feels like they belong and are valued. I look forward to continuing that meaningful progress all together. And finally, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and I think many of our sites celebrate our teachers and staff during this week. So I just want to thank all of our educators and staff across CVUSD, with a special shout out to Dr. Chandelier and Steve Barnes and Callie Crawford, because we wouldn't have SEDAC without them. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. That was a very comprehensive report. Thank you for leading the meetings. And you're right, a lot of hard work gets done at SEDAC. And thank you, Trina, for coming along and supporting her as well. So thank you. All right, we are now on item 2H, which is public comments. The CVUSD Board of Education wants to hear from students, parents, employees, and our community. All individuals have the right to provide public comments during our school board meetings under Government Code Section 54954.3. Comments regarding specific items listed on tonight's agenda must be made when that agenda item is called. Did I mess up again? No. Sorry. If you wish to speak on a topic that is not on tonight's agenda, now is the time to provide your public comment. If you have not already done so and you wish to speak, please hand in your blue card to Mrs. Fellman. Please note, if you have any materials to distribute to the board, please provide those materials to Mrs. Fellman, and she will distribute them to the board. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the board cannot undertake any action or discussion on items that are not on tonight's posted agenda. However, members of the board or its staff may briefly reply to comments or questions posed by the public. Usually, we will wait until the end of the public comment period before responding. As our meetings are held in public, your comments will be heard by those in attendance or watching a broadcast. In addition, the board encourages students to participate in civic affairs. Therefore, we hope that students are watching this meeting or in tonight's audience. Please be mindful of that, and please make your comments factual and offer them in a respectful manner. In compliance with all applicable state and federal laws, the governing board strives to respect the privacy rights of students and employees during our meetings. This includes the right for the identities of students to remain confidential. We also ask that speakers be sensitive to our employees' legal rights to privacy and confidentiality. So again, as a reminder, those requesting to speak at this time will speak on items that are not on the board agenda. And please note that no more speaker cards will be accepted once the board starts the public comments agenda item with the first speaker. Okay, well, let's remember that for next time. So there are no public comments. So we will move on to section 3, which is our action items, starting with 3A, approval of annual resolution 25/26-43. Do I have a motion? Trustee Powell, I see.
President Sylvester, I move that we approve annual resolution 25/26-43 in recognition of the Tulsa race massacre as submitted.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second? Trustee Gorbach? Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns?
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg?
Yes.
Trustee Gill?
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. We are now on item 3B, approval of resolution number 25/26-44. Do I have a motion? Trustee Goldberg.
I move that we approve resolution 25/26/44 declaring May 17th to May 23rd, 2026 classified school employee week as submitted.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second? Trustee Kearns.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
An enthusiastic yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right, moving on to item 3C, approval of resolution number 25/26-42. Do I have a motion? Trustee Powell.
I move that we approve resolution 25/26-42, resolution regarding non-reemployment of classified employees as submitted.
Okay, it has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, I just want to make the note that as this is a personnel matter, Trustee Kearns does not have a preferential vote on this matter. So Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes. I'm sorry. Motion carries 5-0. So, all right, we are now on section 4, which is action items on our consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Trustee Gorbach.
President Sylvester, I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second? Trustee Powell.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any comments? All right, seeing none, please vote. Trustee Kearns.
Yes.
Trustee Goldberg.
Yes.
Trustee Gill.
Yes.
Trustee Gorbach.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
I am a yes. Motion carries 5-0 with a preferential yes vote from Trustee Kearns. All right. We are now on to section 5, which is our information and discussion agenda items. First up, we will have a presentation and discussion of CVUSD technology policies and updates. Do we have any public comments on this? Okay. All right, I now would like to introduce Dr. Jana Sutter.
Good evening, President Sylvester, members of the board, Dr. McLaughlin, Executive Cabinet. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm joined here tonight by Mr. Henry Ortiz, our Director of Technology Services. And we are going to give you an update tonight of our proposed amendments to policies and some of our actions moving forward. So we're going to talk about the process and discussion that went into making these decisions and these updates and changes. We're going to talk about some of the key takeaways from the various stakeholder groups that we worked with, and then we're going to talk about the guidelines and system updates that are a part of this. So a little bit about our timeline. So back in October of this year, well, first we had our first technology committee meeting of the year, and we began discussing some of the new proposed policies. And just to give you a little backstory on the technology committee, this year is actually the 19th year our district has had a district technology committee. And next year, for the 20-year anniversary, Mr. Ortiz and I are planning something extra special. So make sure to join us. We're gonna party hardy. And back when it first started 19 years ago, it consisted of district staff, school site administrators, and a handful of teachers. Now it includes those groups, but it also includes 2 student representatives, 2 Board of Education members, and as well as 2 parent representatives. And so we've really tried to meaningfully expand the input that is occurring on that committee. In December, we had another committee session on the Bring Your Own Device program and student use of technology. We had some site leadership discussions on student technology use, got some feedback from our site administrators, our principals, our APs. In January, myself and our technology integration TOSA, Tiffany Garcia, went to the Student District Advisory Council meeting with Mr. Kearns and his colleagues. And we had discussions on AI and Bring Your Own Device at that meeting. In February, we came back and we talked about our academic honesty administrative regulation, specifically as it pertains to use of technology and use of artificial intelligence. In March, we started talking about the Lightspeed Parent Portal, which Mr. Ortiz is gonna address in a little bit, and the selection of instructional materials. We also distributed a teacher end-of-year survey that included some questions about technology use in classrooms, and we're going to give you some of the key takeaways from that tonight as well. And then in April, we continued on with Lightspeed. We made some very meaningful updates, I think, to the selection of instructional materials, AR, and then we had some additional site leadership discussions on technology use and began the Parent Portal pilot, the Lightspeed Parent Portal pilot. And then in mid to late April, we created a student voice video of elementary students, so you guys can see what some very quick snippets of what happens in our elementary classrooms. And then we finalized our committee reviews. Okay. So lots of work this year. The big process discussion topics we had the teacher survey, discussions with site leadership, discussion within the technology committee, and we tried our very best to include some student voice in this process. We thought that was very important. Our results, we updated the board policy around student use of technology. We updated the administrative regulation, selection and evaluation of instructional materials, and we updated the administrative regulation around academic honesty. All right, we started the pilot on the Lightspeed Parent Portal. We made changes to devices and software access, and we're going to talk about what some of those things are tonight. And then we also developed some elementary tech guidelines for our schools. Okay, so big takeaways from our teacher survey. What we found that devices are definitely embedded in instruction, but unlike what we were seeing 6 years ago, our classrooms are not fully dependent on them, by and large, okay? We have some teachers in 4th and 5th grade that really start implementing devices more. But really, it really kicks up in middle school and high school, where we had 37% of our teacher respondents say that they were using them daily, and high school had 48% saying they were using them daily. We found that we asked questions about YouTube. We found that YouTube is an instructional tool that people do utilize, but it's really not an instructional dependency. We had about 63% of our teachers state that student use is rarely or never for instructional purposes. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that we're working on with that tonight. Most of our instructional device use is moderate in duration. We had about 2/3 say 15 to 30 minutes per day during class. And 50% of our teachers said they assign no device-based homework at all. Okay. Last bullet, 45% support maintaining our one-to-one program as it stands. 23% asked for shared laptop carts instead in the classrooms. And the rest really had no opinion. And just to qualify that, the majority of those that had no opinion were in our primary grades, where we have, where they really don't send devices home and they don't use them nearly as much. So number of schools currently sending home, when we talked with our elementary site leadership, we found that we had one campus that was actually sending Chromebooks home in TK for use, and we had one site that was sending them home in kindergarten. Same school, actually, same school. Starting in first grade, we had a second school that got added to that, and in second grade, we had 2 more beyond that. And so one of the discussions that was had was standardizing such that we really aren't going to be sending devices home until about second grade. Okay. Maintain some site discretion to address individual school community needs. So really what our sites really asked for is they asked for the ability to meet their community where they need to meet them. And teacher discretion within guidelines to meet individual student needs. So one of those things is, and this is something that we've really worked with folks over the years, particularly since we started our official one-to-one program, and that was start with the instructional goal. What do you want kids to know and be able to do? That's one of the main principles of professional learning communities. It's one of the main principles of planning instruction. So if we start there and then we ask the question, okay, how do we need to make that happen? What do we need to enhance that? What do we need to engage kids? What do we need to differentiate? And then in those questions is when we start asking what technology is gonna fit, right? Rather than, hey, I've got this shiny Chromebook. Let's see all the things we can do with it, right? And then also our site leadership also confirmed that early elementary grades in particular is really limited to center-based activities. So if you're not familiar with that term, what that means is that at some point during the day, most to all days, teachers will have small groups set up throughout their classroom where students rotate between centers. Centers may be 15, 20 minutes, and usually, and in some classes, one of those centers is a technology-based center. And you'll see that actually in part of the elementary video that we have. So some of the big takeaways from the technology committee really was an emphasis on starting with that instructional goal in mind. What do we want students to know and be able to do in general, and then how are we going to get there? Providing guidance and support for teachers by grade span. That was one of the big things that came out from really almost all of the different stakeholder groups in the committee was they really wanted something by grade span. They felt it made sense to have different expectations in TK, kindergarten, first grade versus high school. Keeping student privacy and legal requirements surrounding technology tools should remain really at the front of the decisions. And so you'll notice in some of the changes that were made to some of the policies, they need to meet the legal requirements before we give them student information. Okay. And then the big one that kept coming up is always remember the human factor. We are in a people business. Our teachers are humans. And if we lose the human factor, we really lose what makes education special. Okay. All right, so before we start this, I'm just going to give you some quick little context, all right? We took some snippets of video across grade levels at 2 different elementary schools. Okay? In the younger grades, the activities they're doing are those center-based activities that we talked about. As students progress up through the grades, the older students, they're working on projects during some of their content area time. So one of them, a group of students was working on a history project, for example, doing research and working on that project. And those were older students, okay?
Here we go.
I'm working on my vocabulary on Quizlet to study for my study and memorize the words. If I didn't know Victorious and then read it in the book, then I now know it in So I presented to like the school once we were done later on. Also, most of it was on the computer, but some of you had to like write out, and we're gonna have to like make a photo of our guy. I'm working on my living museum report. I started this project by going on these websites and looking on what this person did and how she did it. I just really like working about like history. I'm learning how to like spell words. My favorite part about the class is where we get to do quizzes, playing with friends. Today I'm learning being nice. This guide teaches us step by step how to write. My learning goal for this activity is to become a really good writer. I'm working on science writing, where we're learning about asteroids and how we're protected from the Earth. It helps me write neater and learn more. The videos give me step-by-step lessons, and if I mess up, my teacher will help me. We're working on mystery writing. She kind of just explains to you what you're going to do, and you get a bunch of papers, and she tells you what to do, and we just follow along with it. It's like different things every time, and it makes it very interesting. So if we're like talking about like math, it makes like math interesting. And then if we're talking about like soccer, it makes it interesting. It's not like one of those writing where you have to like write a whole essay. It's like fun writing. We're using Paragraph to help with learning the difference between lines, angles, and parallel lines. You could draw things and type things to answer the question. We learn like the difference, and we give our answers to the teacher, and we see if they're correct. Learning about like shape names and what are like quadrilaterals and what are like points and arrows on our lines. So you have the name, the word that describes the shape. We are working with the finishing touches of our play. I think it's cool because it can turn the backgrounds into real nature stuff.
Okay, so the policies that were updated, a little bit of specifics. So for the exhibit attached to Board Policy 6163.4, we, in the long form that exhibit references that is posted on the district website, we removed language around the BYOD program, the Bring Your Own Device program. And the reason for that was because of discussion with SEDAC and the Technology Committee, and hearing from teachers for the last couple of years, hearing from site administrators for the last couple of years, we really feel it will help create a more focused learning environment. Teachers are better able to monitor student device use if they're all using school-issued Chromebooks. Okay, It allows, so it allows for those consistent classroom management tools. It promotes equitable access to devices. And we really feel like it strengthens student safety and compliance through filtering. Because, for example, on a district-issued device, there is a web filter, okay? And in the case of a student's device, there are apps they can load on those personal devices that will actually override the web filter that we have in place. And so in a way to really address some of these potential safety issues and some of these potentially harmful issues, the BYOD we're going to eliminate that beginning next year, and much to Mr. Kern's dismay.
If I could just add something quickly, that is the proposal set forward. In terms of the discussion with the technology committee and hearing from our students and SEDAC, as well as definitely talking with our staff, that would be, again, our recommendation to remove the bring your own device. I wanted to just kind of narrow in on what that looks like in terms of the policy, and in this case, it's the exhibit in itself. That would be the student use of technology. As I look through that document, there may have been some sort of an error because I don't see the additional number 11 that we are proposing that in effect requires students to use district-issued devices as opposed to bring your own device. And that specific language, which was not on there, but I will say to the Board of Education for number 11, should have read, I understand that I am to utilize school-issued devices when completing schoolwork on the school network. Again, that was for 11, I understand that I am to utilize school-issued devices when completing schoolwork on the school network. That language was reviewed and shared with the technology committee, but for some reason I don't see that, at least on my version. Maybe I'll blame diligent, maybe I won't, but that should be listed as number 11. Okay.
I actually saw something on here that Mr. Lee made an update, but it wasn't.
All right. The Administrative Regulation 6161.1, the selection and evaluation of instructional materials, we, based on a lot of discussion within the technology committee, based on discussion with our sites as well, we added grade span guidance to this. This was part of that conversation where one of those takeaways was, we really need things broken by grade span. That was a very, very firm belief that came out. And the other thing is that we really tried to shift from providing students access to technology to shift to having purposeful use of technology. Okay. We also wanted to introduce digital literacy and some AI progression into formal policy. And then some guardrails for teacher use, and as well as affirm some of the teacher professional discretion to best differentiate for the students they have each day in front of them. Okay. And so as an example for this, the reason for maintaining some of that teacher discretion would be, so during a center rotation, a teacher may send a small group of students who needs to work on some fact fluency, some math fact fluency, to work on a program like Reflex for those 15 or 20 minutes, while the teacher takes a small group who needs to work on their printing skills and their sentence writing, and work with that small group at a table. Okay, where they would be sitting paper pencil to work on their printing skills while other students were receiving feedback on their math facts. Okay.
Something that I just wanted to add additionally, and Dr. Suter mentioned it early on in the presentation, as well as here noted the strengthening student data privacy considerations. I do think it's really important to share with the Board of Education and the public that our existing and current practices absolutely meet those state and federal student privacy requirements. But we do feel like it's very important to be explicit about that. Any whether it's a district-wide implementation of or adoption of an instructional technology that's technology, or also at the site level, if we're entering into any contract with any instructional technology tool, Dr. Suter, Mr. Ortiz are thoroughly reviewing all of the details to make sure that we are in compliance and protecting student data privacy based off the requirements of the law. So again, you'll see that of course, on the slide, but also in here, that student privacy shall be protected in compliance with the applicable state and federal laws. That is currently happening, but we just want to emphasize that, of course, in the policy and definitely to let the public know too.
And in our practices, just to add in our practices, we were already pretty much following what was in the AR in terms of we had content area teachers or grade level teachers reviewing any software prior to implementation. We would often conduct pilots with a small group before going district-wide, or if we had a school that had already been using it for several years, then that was like pilot type feedback, and so down the list, similar to how we adopt paper pencil materials. Okay. All right, so our academic honesty policy, the big part of the conversation around that was to update and modernize the language. Okay. We also added some new section on the integration of digital citizenship and AI as part of instruction, because we know that there are students out there with or without their teachers utilizing some AI products, so we wanted to provide some guardrails in there. We clarified some guidelines about technology and appropriate use for teachers, expectations for citations. So if they're having information generated for them, then they need to be citing that. Okay. Enforcement of academic integrity in relation to AI-generated content. And that was a big topic of conversation. We had several of our English teachers actually join in on the conversation with that for some updated feedback, because they work with their students on that. Okay. And then the Lightspeed Parent Portal, Mr. Ortiz is gonna.
Good evening, everyone. Technology Services, in partnership with Instructional Services, is pleased to announce a successful launch of the Lightspeed Parent Portal pilot program. Lightspeed, as many of you know, is the district's web filtering solution designed for K through 12 to ensure student safety and compliance with the Children's Internet Protection Act. Lightspeed Parent Portal is a module within Lightspeed that empowers parents with visibility and control over their child's internet usage on district-issued devices when the device is at home. Within the Parent Portal, parents can get access to real-time web activity by page, receive weekly parent reports that include a summary of their child's web activity and key stats, including top 10 pages visited, number of page visits per day. They can create schedules to pause web browsing during common routines such as bedtime or focus time. They can create schedules, excuse me, I just said that one. They can allow, restrict, or block access across multiple categories such as YouTube. They can also pause web browsing entirely on the device. Next slide. As part of the pilot program, Westlake Elementary, Colina Middle School, Newbury Park High School were identified as the pilot sites for the rollout. We initially wanted to go with 15 parents per school, parents and guardians per school, but ultimately we expanded it to every parent or guardian that had expressed interest via email. So in total, at present, we have 90 parents and 115 students in the pilot. The purpose of the pilot is to collect feedback on the parent portal prior to our deployment district-wide and to test the functionality and performance in a real-world environment. We started sending out the communications, or rather the pilot site started sending communications with enrollment instructions beginning in mid-May, and we collected those responses up until the end of the month. We are sending out a survey on May 13th requesting feedback from parents. It's a set of 10 questions really focused on the application, the technical functionality, what works well, what doesn't work well, Is there anything that's confusing? Did you have any problems logging in? I am not aware, nor have I received any feedback from parents that they've had any problems with the application so far. And the only, frankly, feedback that we received so far was a parent that was very happy because they had the reporting functionality is exactly what they were asking for. So we are very excited to receive their feedback come May 13th.
And as we transition away from Lightspeed, just to share, as you know, as we're engaging in this pilot, depending on how that feedback goes, we're looking at this to be an option or a choice, a tool provided to families should they choose to use and engage in that.
So after we had these discussions, updated some of these policies, one of the things that came out, because teachers are asking for grade level guidance, principals are asking for grade level guidance. In conjunction with Dr. Sellers and our sites, we put together some elementary technology guidelines. Okay. The focus was on using technology as a support for learning. Okay, so again, starting with that instructional goal. And then offering grade level differentiated guidance from TKK, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. All right, trying to provide some clear categories. All right, and putting an emphasis on structured teacher directed use in early grades. So really having it very structured, it's work on this app during the center for 15, 20 minutes. Then you're gonna switch, okay? Or we're gonna do this green screen activity for 15 minutes, okay? As it went up the grades, the goal was kind of to increase student independence because again, as students get older, they do need to use them, they need to start using technology for learning a little bit more, okay? But still not be without that teacher-directed guidance. And then ultimately working toward digital literacy, responsible and appropriate use, and starting to work on research skills. In fact, in that video, you saw some students who were making notes on pencil and paper because they were doing research for one of their class projects. And so we really tried hard to align it to the philosophy in 6161.1, which was the selection and evaluation of instructional materials. All right, on this slide, this was actually uploaded as a separate thing, okay? But the last bullet in the all section, something that I want to point out here, is device use at school is teacher monitored only. Okay, what that means is, that means that if a student if it's before school, if it's during recess, lunch, after school, if that student is not utilizing that device with their teacher, it's to be put away. So if they're out on the playground and they should be playing on the playground, then that's what they need to be doing, right? They don't need to be sitting on a Chromebook, right? The reason why we chose to do this rather than to state that it's completely banned during recess and lunch is for some of those instances when we have rainy day recess. I know we don't get a lot of days with rain, okay? But sometimes during some of those rainy day recesses, teachers may want to offer choice in activities, or they may want to allow a student to stay in class to work on a project that they're really interested in. And so that's why we didn't want to state, well, you can't do it at all. Okay? Because again, we wanted to maintain some choice for our teachers and some choice for our students in best meeting the needs of their school communities. Okay? Now, through here, you're going to see things like YouTube and media use of in TKK and first, you're looking at teacher use only. That looks like if the teacher's going to show a short video up on the Promethean panel or up on the projector screen or whatever, then they do that, right? But that YouTube isn't on their devices. Okay. Once you get into second grade, we're looking at teacher assigned, guided, and supervised. What that really means functionally is actually part of a pilot that we're doing this week with YouTube. We had 6 elementary schools volunteer to say, yeah, we found out a way to allow teachers to send specific individual YouTube videos to students with no commercials, no extra videos surrounding it, no navigation on YouTube. Okay, we think that's why we're piloting it this week. Okay, so that they can assign a video. Hey, watch this 3-minute video on this topic that you're interested in. You're in the group studying ants. You're in the group studying mosquitoes. All right, the ants group is going to watch this video. The mosquitoes group is going to watch this video. And that's the only video they see. And so that's really functionally what our intention for that to be is. Okay. So far from the pilot feedback, we've actually gotten no complaints from our 6 piloting schools. None. We've gotten questions from teachers who have said, hey, they can't see the video I gave them. How do I fix that? And it really just came up to some very short user support and teacher training involved, which really involved like a half-a-page how-to guide that we sent out to folks. Okay. And we had a handful who have needed a little extra explanation, but not many. Okay. So those are some of the big highlights there. And then, so software and device access, we talked about refined YouTube access. Right now, this week, we're focusing on piloting at the elementary level. One of the questions that did come up in the technology committee is, are we considering that for middle school? We're waiting for how the pilot goes in elementary first. Okay, and then we're also doing, and at the same time, we're doing some research because we do have some very beloved apps such as like Delta Math, Ed Puzzle, and things that we've entered into contracts with, and we want to make sure that we don't break those in the process because they do sometimes use teacher-curated YouTube videos. Okay, so we're double checking to be sure that that it does not break those apps and that we don't need to look for another solution for middle school. All right, and so far, the school administrators I've spoken with, the teachers I've spoken with are open to having that conversation at the middle school level. So we'll keep you updated on how that goes. All right, and then big thing that we really want to push is we want to focus on learning over screen time, and we want to take a pilot approach to these things. And what that allows us to do is that allows us to see how it works and how it doesn't, so that we don't end up in a scenario where we're upending classroom routines overnight. Okay, but for instance, if the Lightspeed portal pilot goes well, if the YouTube pilot goes well for elementary, we'll be implementing those in the fall. So next steps, we still have more work to do. We're not done yet. So, our mighty technology committee, we're gonna pick back up next year, okay? And we've still got some discussions to have. We've got to finalize some recommendations on AI tools. So, if those are written into policy, I'm sure those will be back here, okay, at some point. We're going to be reviewing feedback from our stakeholders on some of the pilots, some of the things that we're implementing, seeing how those are going throughout the year. And then we're going to look at making any necessary adjustments as we move forward beyond that. Okay. So, questions?
Well, first off, thank you both for coming. That was my reaction when reading it ahead of time and then hearing you go through it. It was a very well thought out approach, and I do want to appreciate the time that you've taken. I want to appreciate the time all of the members of the technology committee have taken. I'm hoping we'll hear from the trustees who sat on the committee as well to ensure that it does reflect what they heard. But I think that the balance you've shown between limiting screen time while recognizing the importance of digital literacy and usage of tech tools while enabling teachers some discretion, I think it all works really well. But let's hear what everyone else has to say. Trustee Kearns, you've buzzed in.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for this incredible presentation. And for those of you in the audience, not to brag, but Trustee Gill and I did get to see that video about a week and a half early. So that was really awesome to see. And yeah, so I have this whole plethora of notes that we took at Student DAC. Like literally probably 2 pages of just me scribbling all this stuff that people said. And I was planning to share them with you all, but I really don't have to because I think Dr. Suter and her team did such an incredible job of incorporating student voice in this whole process. The only thing that I'm left questioning, and I think I might have brought this up in the tech committee as well, but just to circle back to it, could you go over what ability the district has to like alter the parental controls on Lightspeed and potentially like make it so that some websites like Canvas, for example, can never be blocked?
That's a great question and one that we've taken up with the vendor. To be perfectly frank, our ability to see what parents are doing is non-existent. Like they've really separated our ability to change or modify anything a parent's done. We did bring up, I think in one of the tech committees, there was a scenario where what if there's an emergency service or emergency website of some site that a student must get to? So they've taken that feedback. They actually thought it was a very good use case that they hadn't considered, and it's on their development roadmap. But at present, I have no idea. The numbers I provided were based on the feedback we received as far as the interested parties in enrolling, but it's done by design, right? So the whole idea behind the parent portal is that the parents have the power to modify those settings and set controls. They don't want us to go in there, us meaning the technology team or administration, to go in there and modify what the parents have done.
Well, if there are Chromebooks.
I'm sorry?
If there are Chromebooks, that it would make sense that, I don't know, just something to tell them, I guess. But yeah, because I can definitely see a situation where like a student falls behind in class or something, and the teacher just cannot figure out why, and it's because the parent has been turning off complete network access every single day, and so that kid's learning stops at the school bell. And so I think that definitely would be front of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing that's important here is this is not a feature that we would just implement. We wouldn't just add all the parents and send them emails. There is a lot of training and communication that needs to be part of this. Everyone needs to understand the power of like shutting off, to your point, the web browsing, because then students could be impacted. So we are working with other districts that have it. There's one in Oregon that has been using it for some time. We're leaning on them for their feedback and guidance and trying to see what went well for their implementation and what didn't. And we're definitely going to lean into that when we start talking about it. But education, communication, that's going to be a big part of this, so everyone understands. But your initial question about is there a way that we can exclude some URLs from being blocked is one that Lightspeed has on their roadmap, and one that we will be following up with them on pretty frequently.
Yeah, definitely. I think for that particular tool, like some ability for us to conduct some sort of oversight to how that's being used in homes, especially if like concerns about getting behind arise, and then also like vital websites that have really no justifiable reason to be blocked, like adding that to a whitelist permanently. I think those would be front of mind for me. Other trustees can chime in on that, but yeah, otherwise I think it was an excellent presentation, excellent policies. We went over at tech committee, and I was shocked because I was expecting some clamoring about this topic that has just we've been leading up to it for like a year. At least since I've been around. And when Dr. Suter presented us this incredible policy, it was like silent. People were almost trying to find things to talk about. And so I imagine this discussion will go similarly. But thank you, both of you.
Trustee Powell.
I'm happy to share a little bit. Thank you for this presentation. I was hoping we could scroll back to the slide 7, the key takeaways from the committee. Because I think this is important, to think about as we're talking through this, because I think these are some of the key, philosophical, understanding of what we're working with. I mean, I think we are at a really critical juncture right now around technology. Having jumped in with the one-to-one in COVID due to necessity, and now several years later, we're grappling with, okay, we now have all this tech. How are we using it really effectively? Is it the right thing? Do we need to pull back? There's more and more research coming out. So let me also say just thank you to everybody working on this issue, because it is such a dynamic time for this. And, when I hear people say, well, just, change the policy or just, ban this, it's really not as easy as that when we're talking about how to do this right. And so I appreciate that there's been time and thought and intention in talking to so many groups across the district, and having this committee that we, of course, as was stated, added in students, parents, and board members. And so I think really key for me, and I think there's a lot of agreement on the committee around things that needed to be done, which part of it is, yes, we probably need to be pulling back a little bit. And if it's not clear to anybody who just watched this presentation, go watch it again. And I know we'll be talking about it a little bit, but there is some pullback here. I think that, what was emphasized throughout the committee meetings was, again, technology is not a replacement for instruction. It is intended as a support, and that can enhance student learning and assessment. So I think a really key question that we should be asking anytime we want to be using tech is, how is this enhancing student learning? Is this what we want to be doing? I think all of this too, and the way we're moving is also rooted in research. It's evidence-based. I know we've been handed a lot of research studies and books and links over the last several months, which I really appreciated, because I go read all of those. When it's a video link, I go watch the video. I also happen to be somebody that when I've read a book, say by Jared Horvath, who is very smart and has a lot of great points, I also want to go search out what other neuroscientists are saying about brain development and how ed tech might be impacting that. So I think really ensuring that we are staying open to the research and understanding that clearly there are different developmental needs at different stages, right? Like, we don't want to have the same policies in kindergarten around tech that we have with our high school students. It just makes absolute sense in terms of what we're kind of working towards here. I also want to say that I really appreciate the student safety and privacy. I know there's so many concerns from parents about their kids staying safe, and I think being a part of the committee helped me really hear about the very deep work that our technology folks are doing all the time to be vetting, checking out, making sure we're not just in compliance, but really keeping student privacy and safety at a center point. And like you said, I know there's work to be done still. I appreciate that. I think this is an evolving issue. I think a year from now, there may be even more research that guides us, that maybe we want to go deeper on certain things. But I'm really pleased with the work that's been done thus far and how we're going. And I may have other comments, but I'm just starting off with that. So thanks.
Thank you. Other questions? Trustee Gorbach.
I just want to, first of all, thank you both for the presentation, very in-depth. I think I think as Trustee Powell just said, we're continuing the work. This is not a final presentation, and I appreciate that. I just want to address some of the comments that we've heard over recent weeks and stuff like that, that we do when we use strictly district-provided laptop devices, that we do have filters. And so the kids aren't going on their own unfiltered. And also we are putting timelines on how much use. Again, as Trustee Powell said, we're not replacing teachers. We're not giving them a computer and saying, go at it. we're limiting the time that they're on there. And I appreciate all the concerns that you have shown with the committee and all those that are on the committee. So thank you for the report and thank you for the work.
Trustee Gill.
Thank you for this incredible presentation and for leading the work of the Technology Committee. This is a larger discussion. You can read about it in the pages of the LA Times. And learning community in particular, I think we had an opportunity to lead here. And I think the way that we lead in this district is by hewing really closely to the vision and philosophy that we have. We're not a technology organization. We're a learning organization. We're about learning. So in the middle of Teacher Appreciation Week, I think it's appropriate that we develop these guidelines that listen closely to the people who understand how learning happens in reality and reflected those. So I'm really, really grateful for all the great work, appreciative, and I'm proud of it. Thank you.
I mean, you did overemphasize, rightfully so, start with the instructional goal, which I think mirrors what Trustee Gill is saying, and listen to our educators who are working with our students every day. There seems to be this perception out there that our students, even our youngest students, are on computers all day. We saw video, and that was a center, that was a very discrete, structured activity, and your teacher surveys also indicate that that is really not true. Does it vary by school site? Many things vary by school site, and they vary by teacher. But I think this approach and recognizing that it really, there are significant differences in approach by grade span, and we had talked about it with cell phone policy as well, that you have to be cognizant of. So I appreciate, I appreciate all the work that's been done. I think it's a great approach. I think it does meet the needs of our community. And as always, first of all, this is a discussion tonight. We're not voting on any of this. The next time we see it, we will vote on it. These are policies. It's not a resolution. This is an actual policies that we will be voting on. But as a board, we are always willing to revisit and to learn more about how it's going and to take any corrective actions if needed, or make changes, or keep the status quo. So again, I appreciate all the work that was done here. I appreciate the work that Trustee Gill and Trustee Powell did on this committee. Obviously, Dr. Suter, Mr. Ortiz, thank you for your leadership in this, and to everyone on the committee. So any other questions? Or Trustee Goldberg?
I just want to, you all have so eloquently said what I wanted to say, but it is very clear that you are a teacher first and love tech second, close second. But the emphasis, like President Sylvester said, on instruction first and best instruction and listening to the experts in the room is key. And I really appreciate all of it, so thank you.
Yeah, just for me, when we are looking at such a big topic, and this I would consider a big topic that's fallen under what I would say other large topics that we've covered and made adjustments to in policies over the years. The interesting thing about this is this was not an adversarial process for us. So often we have non-negotiables when we have committees, or we have a stance that from like a district perspective or from a school site perspective or from a classroom perspective, like going into these meetings, we say we cannot give this up. I'm gonna be honest, that was not the case with this technology, the technology committee, any conversations we were having at the cabinet level, all the way down through our school administrators. There was nothing adversarial in our take on this topic, and or the feedback coming in from our community members. We were never frustrated, and still not frustrated with the information provided to us. And the links that are sent to us on a regular basis, and things like that. So for us, we went into this with, again, not a list of non-negotiables, and very open to the direction of our committee and the feedback coming in from our different stakeholders. So I just think our committee needs to know, because we've had topics that I think, like I said, were big topics that we needed to have a stance on some things, and this was not the case at all, working through this process.
Trustee Kearns?
Yes, would you mind going back to slide 15? Okay, so I really, 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 really love this graphic. I think it lays out so well the differences in expectations like through grade level. And I think the greater significance of this graphic is like the foundational learning of technology and the foundational learning of like what artificial intelligence is, what technology can do for you, how to make a Google Doc. And I all think these are really, really valuable topics, especially being in high school right now. A lot of my friends still struggle with like the proper way to type. And so I feel like if we had this when we were in elementary school, I think it would be a lot easier for a lot of students to perform well with technology now, especially, after COVID. We've seen pretty much everything shift online. When I go to apply for a job, it's not like I fill out a paper form, like everything is online. Your resume is sent online. And so I think it's really, really important to have that foundational building of like tech use. I almost feel like it's certainly like one of those major instructional points in like someone's life. Similarly, I would compare it to learning how to write an essay, honestly. I think it's of similar importance and a similar degree of importance. So just wanted to highlight that and appreciate that. Also, for those of you who emailed us about LAUSD and comparing us to LAUSD, I think it is important to look at current events, and I think it's absolutely important to look at current topics that are going on in surrounding areas. But I would like to just say for the record, LAUSD is really different than CVUSD. We have different needs. We're a different district. We're different size. We serve different students. And there are just a million reasons why copy-pasting policies from LAUSD is not the correct approach. And I think, speaking from a long-term standpoint, I've always seen CVUSD as kind of even the leader in policy regionally. I feel like a lot of districts actually look to us because we have such a good way of crafting these committees, of working through these committees, of working through policies, and now approving them at the board and having such rich discussions about them. And also, LAUSD has been having their issues of their own with the tech policies that they have enacted swiftly, I will put it. So I did want to say that, and I think we've done an excellent job here, and CVUSD paving the way, once again, for what tech policy can look like in the educational sphere. So thank you to all involved.
Trustee Powell.
I have a question on the elementary student use tech guidelines. It's really more of a point of clarification. And before I ask it, I want to just reiterate the data that we got from the teacher survey, that 65% of teachers across the district are using their Chromebooks in class 15 to 30 minutes on average daily, which is not a lot. And then there's 4 schools, elementary schools, that allow Chromebooks to go home as early as 2nd grade. So I'm just reiterating that because we know that, just to understand the context. Because I know somebody who's looking at this without that context might, and I appreciated that you expanded on that, that last bullet above at the top as to what that meant. But looking at this, you see, well, at home, it says, well, additional practice or enrichment is determined by teacher school, starting in kindergarten we have it, TK none, but then we kind of left that qualifier in for K first, second, even though we know there's hardly any schools even doing that. And we know it's probably going to be pulled back. But I know we talked about in the technology committee that there are parents, TK parents, kindergarten parents, that are requesting to have Chromebooks come home. So I believe that's why we worded it that way. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and also, like, for instance, in kindergarten, we sometimes have kindergartners that meet the end of year benchmarks in October when the teachers test them, or in November for try 1. So the parent says, hey, what can I do with my student at home? So they say, well, if you have a computer at home, one thing you can do is I can give you access to this set of math games that our district subscribes to. Okay? And you can work on those and continue with some enrichment. And that's fully, that's really voluntary for the families, okay? you know, in first grade, additional practice or enrichment, that might be something like some IXL practice at home to work on skills, or to, you know, or to move their skills forward more. Okay, whether it's enrichment or intervention. Lexia is a reading intervention program that some of our schools still utilize, and typically our schools utilize that during an intervention time at school for 15 or 20 minutes. But that is something that we have some schools that may have work at home for kids to do as well. So it's really some of those things. But often the reason why those enrichments are often voluntary is because we do have families who have said, hey, I really want to limit screen time at home. And so our principals said, you know, we've told our teachers, if the parents ask for, you know, if you're wanting to assign some math fact practice on an app or a piece of software and the parents want no screen time, well, have them do flashcards for 15 minutes at home for homework instead. And so that's really where a lot of those optional things come into play, and how they actually look in practice.
I believe, Dr. Sellers, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a couple more things. So we do have subscriptions, like that one that's district-wide is IXL, and IXL is a standards-based program. It guides kids through the exercises. Some kids love IXL and they think it's fun, and the teachers set up different challenges for them in a certain number of minutes, and they level up, and that's how some kids really respond, and how that's an effective way for them to practice. And for other kids, that's not an effective way for them to practice. There are also technology sites that are so specific to practicing letter naming skills, phonics skills, things like Starfall, where that's not something we would necessarily assign, but that's a valuable tool for some of our students, as well as different videos that teach letter sounds, letter names, numbers. So that's what would be happening in those younger grades. Because it is an engaging way for kids to learn those very concrete skills that maybe gives parents a different opportunity to enrich them with. And so that's what you'll see more at the younger grades. It's not, you know, for Canvas, or it's not for big access to curriculum. It's more for very pointed, specific websites that our teachers would recommend as good sources of practice for those concrete basic skills. You're welcome.
So just since we're on this, let's go back to that slide. Since we were there, I have a question. I was reading on each you have the YouTube and media use line. Can you walk me through? I see, like, in second grade, teacher assigned, guided, and supervised. In third grade, it's teacher guided and supervised. Assigned gets dropped off, but then it flips in fourth grade to teacher assigned and supervised. So I'm curious the distinctions, or if a word was left off maybe in third grade.
I can neither confirm nor deny whether a word was left off. So really, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Probably was diligent.
I'm sure it was diligent.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I understand.
and-
I just like it.
Second and third really should be the same.
Yeah.
And so
I just was curious.
we'll update that
That's
before it
fine.
comes back.
I just was curious because, like, why not in one, and like it just. Yeah.
So I guess will we maybe get, like, in a board report, like, kind of how the YouTube pilot goes? Okay.
For sure.
Excellent. And the light speed.
Mr. Liu?
I mean, I was just going to share that, you know, the items here are included as an information discussion item, and subsequently will be placed on the next public agenda. At that point in time, for sure, we'll be able to answer any questions as well, and the public will, of course, have an opportunity to provide any input or feedback too at that time.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you again. As we've all indicated, that was very thorough, and I think we all appreciate the approach, and nice job. So thank you, and thank you for coming here tonight. All right, we are now on item 5B, which is a presentation and discussion of Maple Elementary, as well as a school boundary proposal. So we're going to hear a we're going to hear a presentation by Megan Oweger and Dr. Sellers.
Hello, so a presentation in two parts tonight. First, we're going to talk about Maple Elementary and kind of where we see ourselves going and some changes that we want to propose, and then we'll talk about boundaries. So when I started as the new principal of Maple this year, my staff was very excited about the idea of aligning our vision with our practice. So Maple's a great place. It's full of lots of amazing things happening, but the communication about what was happening wasn't there, and the alignment with our website and with what we were communicating out there wasn't completely there with all of the wonderful things that were happening. So some of the things that we looked at fixing or doing a better job of communicating was the things that we truly believe are important and vital about Maple. Being inclusion forward is the center of the whole school. We have a large population of students with disabilities with various levels of needs, and making sure that everything we do is including them at all times is incredibly important. Looking at whole child development, so all of the different pieces, all of the different social, emotional, and academic needs of our kids was something that was super important. It's a small community. We have not a ton of students, but that's great because we're very connected to each other, and the teachers all know all of the kids. So expanding on how we can make that a strength was something that we wanted also to be part of our journey. Maple has great outdoor spaces. So I walked onto this campus with already beautiful outdoor garden, a pollinator garden, lots of green space. So it was important to us to be able to utilize those outdoor spaces as an extension of the classroom. And then another thing that came up kind of follows naturally to the last presentation was that my staff was very interested in looking at how we could balance the use of technology, how we can lower it, how we can be more intentional with it, and how we can be on the forefront of that pulling back piece to make sure that our technology use is really intentional and used with limits. So, our school-wide learning model that we would like to have going forward is Maple Elementary, where learning lives outdoors. So we want to have low and slow technology use and make sure every time we're bringing a Chromebook in, every time we're using technology in the classroom, it's very intentional and not free for all, for our kids. We want to have inclusive outdoor education. We want to use all of our existing outdoor spaces to make a concerted, school-wide effort. We are all outside every day. We live in a place where 180 of our school days are with beautiful weather, so why not take advantage of that and have these kids be outside learning in the real world in the great spaces we have as much as possible. So the staff committed to, in some way, shape, or form, we are outside just of recess, but outside learning every single day. And then another important piece was to connect with our community partners. So there's so many resources outside of just the school district that can connect us to the local ecology, the wildlife federations, parks and recs, all of the different things that we can utilize to help connect the students to their local nature as well as the nature on campus. So Maple's an amazing place. We have a lot of strengths, and one of the biggest strengths is the staff. It is a fabulous staff who is very, very committed to everybody knowing what a gem, what a secret gem that our little campus is in the middle of Newbury Park. They have a lot of enthusiasm for the school. They have been there a long time, over and away. My staff is long-term. So some of the things that they are excited about is low technology use. They're excited about learning outside, and they're excited about hands-on experiences because in their experience, they've seen how that benefits the students' learning significantly. And then between our parents and our staff and our PFA and everybody across the board has all expressed kind of the same desire to reduce our screen time of our kids and get our kids back to real-world learning. And then another great strength is just our outdoor spaces. You can see this picture of our beautiful pollinator garden. I walked into a thing of beauty. It was fabulous. It's got all kinds of native plants, so kids can watch a butterfly cycle and it's all happening just naturally. We don't have to buy caterpillars and try to, farm things and bring things in from outside that aren't already a part of our local ecology. So utilizing that garden and the spaces in it, and then we have a really lovely outdoor classroom in addition to that kids can go and learn in every single day. So we codified our beliefs, we did some research. We found a lot of support from peer-reviewed research studies that students who learn outdoors have a better sense of self, have a better sense of independence, are more confident, more creative, make better decisions, solve problems better, have more empathy, and have more initiative. And our teachers and staff are very confident that they can utilize all of this outdoor learning to continue our journey of inclusion, and that it gives a lot of opportunities for non-traditional learning. So we have non-traditional learning students. Let's put them in non-traditional settings so we can continue that work as well. We've found that students learn better when they're outside, and that lost my place. And that when we're using technology on a low and slow basis, it's working better for everybody across the board. So 2 things that I worked with my staff, my parents, my teachers, everybody with was how can we make these things part of our vision and mission? So how can we make sure that the things that we're already doing align with the direction we want to go, and that's what's forward-facing about Maple. So 2 things that we did was a mission and vision statement revise. So our new mission is that Maple Elementary School is dedicated to nurturing curious, confident, and compassionate learners through meaningful hands-on educational experiences. Our collaborative and committed staff designs learning opportunities that encourage exploration, connection to the natural world, and the development of socially conscious student leaders. Through inclusive practices, strong relationships, and a balanced approach that emphasizes active learning and thoughtful low technology use, Maple supports the intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development of every student while partnering with families and community organizations. And then to go along with that, we updated our vision, and that's to dedicate and nurture curious, confident, to cultivate a joyful and inclusive learning community where every student is known, valued, and inspired to explore the world around them. Through hands-on learning, outdoor exploration, and meaningful community connections, Maple strives to foster curiosity, confidence, and a lifelong love of learning. So along with all this, we had one more big piece, and that is that we decided we wanted to change our mascot. So a couple different things led to this. One of them was we share a mascot with another school that's very close. So Madroño is also the Mustangs. We are also the Mustangs. We both have brand new principals. We were finding that things were getting confused, not uncommonly. Whether it was like changing the website and I accidentally changed Madroño's website, but even just little things. We have the same name for our newsletter. There was a lot of reasons why we were finding we were overlapping a skosh too much. But also, something that came up from these conversations was that all of the Newbury Park clusters have native animals. Mustangs aren't native to Newbury Park, but Sycamore has the coyotes. Walnut has the wildcats, Banyan has the bobcats, and actually, I went to Cypress when I was a Cypress cub, and I remember knowing at the time that you got to be a little cub, and then you grew up to be a Newbury Park panther. And so the small native cat was like an important part of being just a student in the Newbury Park cluster. So my staff was really excited at the idea that we could match the theme of our cluster. And then furthermore, we found out a lot of interesting things about P22. We learned recently that if P22 was a human, he'd have been zoned for Maple Elementary. So we learned that on a field trip to the wildlife crossing. And we already have a strong presence of mountain lions on our campus. We have a giant mural that's existed for a few years that was painted, I think when Ms. Gill came to teach the kids about P22. And so it felt like a really natural fit. It was alliterative, it fit all of the kind of check boxes. And then the last piece was just what mountain lions represent, strength and resilience and coming back from being in low numbers and all the things that we feel like represent our school as a community. Then also we worked great with Elon and Kim Gold to create this fabulous new mascot and logo that represents Mount Boney in the background, which is just such a lovely connection to the view that you see outside of school and all throughout Newbury Park every single day. That's really an important part of living there. So we have more work we want to do. We want to continue working on our focus areas. We recently were awarded a community environmental enhancement grant so we can update our outdoor classroom and make sure it's inclusive and has shade. We've got some boards with different symbols on them to help our students with autism be able to communicate the science concepts within them. We've looked at some options for our upper fields. We have a really large upper field that's underutilized, and so we're constantly thinking about what we could do that would make that more of a community space or something that could help us do more fun things. And then to just continue to refine our outdoor learning and low technology practices. So we have some plans moving forward where we're gonna remove all of the Chromebooks from TK through 1, we're gonna go back to carts, and then we're not gonna start checking out books until we've done a lot of digital citizenship in the upper grades. And that is something that we're always looking to refine and change to, as we might continue to roll that back as years go on, but slow enough that it's not too abrupt for our teachers. And then we've had some great community partnerships. We've worked hard with Conejo Parks and Rec. We started bringing them on campus this year. They already have a really nice therapeutics program that works well with students with disabilities. So leaning into that already exists and having them bring some of that programming onto our campus is a goal for us. We have collaborated with local agencies, the National Wildlife Federation, Conejo Open Space Conservation Agency, and are looking at opening a 4-H club with the students for eco-education and agriculture, which we call SEAG. So I was lucky enough this year to get to attend the Ventura County Agricultural Education Summit, which was a fabulous place full of resources for all of this kind of thing. There's resources for schools that want animals, schools that want gardens, schools that want outdoor education, and it was countywide. There's a lot of amazing things happening that we got to take some nuggets away from. So that's something I'd like to bring more staff to in the future. We've been working with Ventura County Farm to School Initiative about how they can bring in fresh foods and stuff like that to hand out to families on our campus. And we've started looking into partnerships with the Association for Environmental and Outdoor Education. So that is what I got for Maple. Questions?
First of all, thank you so much. Your challenge will be getting this message out, but it all sounds fabulous and well thought out, so I appreciate the update. Before we move on to boundaries, questions, comments? I think you said it all. I think Trustee Goldberg.
I think the enthusiasm is infectious, and that Mountain Lion rebrand of Maple is so cute. So yeah, the whole thing was really, really well done, and it's amazing what a little innovation will do. So congratulations.
Thank you for sharing all of the exciting plans. And I think in particular, I know you already have some partnerships, but all of these other resources that I know I had never even heard of some of those groups. And so it sounds like there's a lot, just a wealth of information to grow and expand some of these ideas around being outdoors and some of the hands-on stuff that you're looking to do. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Trustee Gorbach.
I just want to thank you again for the presentation. As you know, I was recently on your campus, and as Trustee Goldberg said, the enthusiasm is infectious, and the beauty of your campus is magnificent, and just keep on keeping on.
Maple Elementary is a very, very special place. You're a very, very special principal. Thank you for identifying all of the strengths and wonderful things about Maple and its learning community. I love this.
I have to say, as someone who grew up in the Northeast, being able to utilize outdoor spaces all the time is phenomenal. It really is, because back there, you were lucky if you got 20 nice days. So I definitely appreciate that. Any further comments before we move on to the next part of this presentation? I think we're good. Dr. Sellers.
Thank you.
Just as I'm sort of transitioning slides, in thinking about the sort of energy, excitement, and opportunity that I will say our first-year Principal Wigger, has brought to Maple, and really in working closely with her staff. This is not Ms. Wigger's own personal mission or vision. This really is working with such a committed and proud Maple teaching staff. We see so much great opportunity there. So that's sort of led us naturally in looking at some new opportunities in our local community. Just thinking about how do we bring more to the Maple mountain lions. That is very alliterative. That's pretty nice. So with that, Dr. Sellers has a presentation, a proposal on Maple and Banyan school boundaries.
Just before we get too far into it, I think that this is going to probably be the start of some other conversations and boundary looks as other construction projects within the city are started, and how they're being zoned, and what's the best approach once those places start filling up with folks and hopefully lots of young children that will be attending CVUSD schools. But I think this will be probably the first of at least one other conversation that we're going to have sooner than later about the old Kmart area and what school that will be, or what school will be zoned for that property, and any adjustments that we need to make.
All right, thank you so much. As everyone said, I'm Dr. Sellers. I'm the Director of Elementary Education. Good evening, President Sylvester, Dr. McLaughlin, trustees, and district leadership. I'm here to discuss two ideas for boundary changes and a proposal that includes a proposal for a new development. So this presentation and proposal is in accordance with our board policy 5116, which is about our governing board, you guys, establishing school attendance boundaries in order to maximize the efficient use of district facilities and effective administration of district schools. And so what we're doing is that second sentence, periodically reviewing school attendance boundaries, and then as necessary, making recommendations to the board for those adjustments. So that's why we're here this evening. And in the policy, it lists some of those as possible reasons to do so. So here is a map of our amazing school district. And this concept of talking about boundary changes came up because we recognize that there is a new development in Newberry Park that is right off the 101 freeway between Ventura Park and Rancho Conejo exit. And that caused us to examine the boundaries and attendance for Maple Elementary specifically. That Banyan attendance area, which you can see here, is such a large area and much larger compared to its neighbor school, which is Maple. And so we considered several options, looked at different neighborhoods, different factors, and we believe that these two areas are our best proposal. So those two areas, again, is that development that's being built actually on our former district property at the corner of Kelly Road and Newberry Road, which was the original site of the Conejo Valley High School. And that development will be called the Sanctuary. And with Miss Hannah, actually, from Business Services, we've been working together on determining exactly what's going to be constructed on that property and what kind of units will be there. And then the second area is actually looking at something that, as a director, I've been considering for a long time, which is the Conejo Creek condominium area. Because that one development is broken into 3 different school zones. And over time, looking at those, that one little area goes to 3 different places may not be the best decision for our students and our families in that area. So let's start first with Area 1, which is the sanctuary. Mrs. Hannah and I were able to surmise that that sanctuary will actually have 27 studio units, 132 one-bedroom units, 132 two-bedroom units, and 39 three-bedroom units. So for anyone listening, we think that those will be perfect for CVUSD students to live in, especially a large three-bedroom unit. But this is going to be, and self-described on the Sanctuary's webpage as new luxury apartment community with a total 330 units. And even though it's never actually been a residential area, it is zoned for Banyan just because all of the areas of our school district are zoned for a school. So there's some pictures, current construction, and then that's their logo, which is actually the feature on the top of the former Conejo Valley High School building. Area 2 are those Conejo Creek condominiums that I mentioned. And so this is one development that is assigned to 3 different schools. So the shaded blue area, which is Area 2 that we're considering, is 218 condominium units. And they are currently attending and slated to, or zoned for the Banyan school area. And in that one blue area there, we have 74 total students enrolled and in elementary school, and 33 of those attend Banyan. And so this is just a picture to show you. All of Conejo Creek condominiums is 540 units. And each one of those units or buildings, as you can see on the right, contains 4 different units within the one building. And those are sold separately as condominiums. And so these aren't owner-owned. This isn't an apartment complex, but rather each unit has an owner. So I'll give you a second to look at the map. Currently, again, it's blue because blue is the Banyan attendance area. And so our whole school district is broken into these school areas in the queue system. These are called geocodes. And so this one area, we would actually label it to have 3 new school area codes. And so if you look at the school area 18401, you'll notice there's Kohl's, there's the Pickles Deli, all of that is currently commercial. But if for some reason at any time something was to be built there that was residential, that is currently zoned for Banyan, and we're proposing for it to be zoned for Maple. Then in the centers, school area 19203 is where that new development, the sanctuary, is going to be housed, and it is within its own area. I'm going to come up to the screen to show you one thing. Currently, there are many families that live in this Banyan area, and we are not proposing to change this area. So we're only proposing to change the area where there are no current residents, because there is no housing there currently. And then the final section of that is school area 18602, and the only somewhat residential development there is a Motel 6. And we sometimes have students that are there for temporary housing. So when we were looking at the new development and the considerations for why we would want it zoned for Maple, is that these are new families, and there's definitely more space for enrollment available at Maple versus at Banyan Elementary. Second, it includes the Motel 6 property, and Maple Elementary has several extra supports for students on their campus, and those supports would be available to students that are in temporary housing at the Motel 6, and then hopefully become permanent residents of our area and are able to attend Maple Elementary. In general, adding Area 1 expands the geographic attendance area for Maple, and then ultimately should include more students, and that there are no current residents in this area, so we're not altering people who are currently living there. This is just a brand new area that we would be rezoning. The second area, Area 2, again, is those Conejo Creek condominiums. And when I originally showed this map to you, 17500 was blue for the Banyan attendance area. But let's start at the top. 17501 is the current Maple attendance area. 17502 is a current Madronia attendance area. And then 17500 is a current Banyan attendance area, and that's what we're proposing to be zoned for Maple, which kind of creates the shape of the state of Louisiana. So why are we looking at Area 2 to be rezoned for Maple? One is a neighborhood friends. We really promote that families should start at their neighborhood school because you would have friends in your neighborhood, and that's that classic elementary school experience. So by incorporating the 17500 zone in with Maple, less separation and confusion for families, only having 2 schools in that neighborhood versus 3 schools. As I mentioned before, we do have additional resources at Maple for students and families and different programs that they can access at Maple Elementary that we think would be beneficial for the families. Second is that we do respect that there are, of course, students currently living in that area that is zoned for Banyan and attending Banyan, and so we would not be asking them to change schools. This is not affecting them immediately in any way. Actually, long-term, it would not affect them. If they're attending Banyan, they get to stay at their school, as well as siblings that would then follow the students that are currently enrolled at Banyan. And finally, in all 3 of those areas, we provide bus transportation from those zones to their neighborhood school. And we hope that over time, as more new families move in and that those students are zoned for Maple, that it would reduce the transportation needs and lessen the number of routes that we have going from that neighborhood to the schools. So the first thing that will happen is the sanctuary development, and that sanctuary development had some planned leasing opportunities this month in May. If you drive by them, it doesn't look quite so ready to lease. So as with many developments, I think that it might be a little bit delayed, but I do anticipate that they would be done possibly for enrollment in the 26-27 school year. And so we first want to have that development zoned and ready so that we can communicate with the developer and the leasing office so that they know to let the families know when they lease there that their neighborhood school would be Maple if this proposal is accepted. The second step would be those Conejo Creek condominiums, which would be on a slower timeline. We have families already registered for the 26-27 school year and enrolled, and we would not be wanting to upset that for the 26-27 school year, and instead we would be proposing the Conejo Creek condominium change for the 27-28 school year. And that's the number 3. And then number 4, there are, as Mr. Liu mentioned, other new developments. And so there's the development that's off Hampshire Road, formerly the Kmart property, which will be referred to as T.O. Ranch. And so we are definitely keeping an eye on that area and what their timeline is for development. Mrs. Hanna also shared with me that there's a development plan to be very close to the Mitchell property, which is currently zoned for Walnut attendance area. And then we also have another development that is planned at the intersection of Houghton Camp and Thousand Oaks Boulevard. If you have lived here for a while, the former site of a very big pumpkin patch and Christmas tree farm area. And actually for us, we will definitely need to consider that because that current intersection is divided among 2 different school boundaries. And so we'll need to determine which school boundary that would be absorbed into and move the line that way. So that's kind of our boundary discussions over the next 2 or 3 years. So for options for all of you and for making changes or not making changes, option 1 would be to approve Area 1, that new housing development, and also Area 2, Conejo Creek condominiums, to be zoned for Maple, beginning both in the 27-28 school year, but of course, Area 1 we would want to be incorporating for the 26-27 school year. Option 2 would be to only approve Area 1, which would be that new housing development to be zoned for Maple, which includes just those properties as well as the Motel 6 property and that whole strip along the 101 freeway. Option 3 would be to approve only Area 2, leaving the sanctuary development within the Banyan attendance area, but absorbing the Banyan attendance area into the Maple attendance area in the Conejo Creek condominiums. And then option 4 could be no change to our current boundaries, and both of those areas would continue to be zoned for Banyan Elementary. From there, I'll take any questions that you have.
Does anyone know when these school boundaries were first developed?
So I can tell you that the Conejo Creek condominium boundary was developed when Earths opened. So that whole Conejo Creek condominium complex was initially zoned for Manzanita. And when Earths opened, we actually broke up because no school has, or no neighborhood has Earths as their neighborhood zone. Right. It's a school choice only. And so that whole neighborhood was broken into those 3 zones. And at the time, none of the schools, all of the schools there were fairly equal in their socioeconomic status and their school population. And over time, that has changed. And then as for In-N-Out Burger, I don't know.
I mean, just in general, I'm just wondering the last time Dr. McLaughlin alluded to this earlier, looked at all of the school boundaries. I mean, this is a different discussion, but different neighborhoods age at different rates. We know different schools have vastly different number of students as well as percent of their capacity. And I'm just wondering, at some point, taking a look at just everything might be warranted. But for purposes of today, we're looking just at this. And I just want to say we're just having a discussion. This is not a vote. So questions and comments?
I can also give you one more piece of information about that, which we have looked at boundaries and redrawn the map when we've had various events happen, such as school closure or our changing schools to be different types of schools. And so we have, I would say most recently, the boundaries that were redrawn were for the Park Oaks neighborhood. To separate those into different elementary schools. So some students in that area go to either Glenwood, Ladera, or Lang Ranch, and so that it's always been caused by a change.
So we've reacted over time when we have to. Okay, and obviously there's new developments coming through, and you've mentioned a lot of them. Dr. McLaughlin.
And just as you have 4 options in front of you, I think from our discussion with district staff, and the schools, particularly Maple, we would be leaning towards option 1 from a staff level, school level perspective, just as you guys get further into your discussion, you know where we stand.
We named it number 1 for a reason.
All right, other comments? Trustee Kern.
Well, with that said, I support option 1. I will not be providing further reasoning for that.
Trustee Goldberg.
Just a question, and it may just be a numbers question, but I completely understand why having 3 schools in one neighborhood is a bad idea. The question is, if we're going to do this, is there an opportunity to just make it 1? As like what would it do to Madronia, for example? Like if that whole area went to 1 school as opposed to 2, or is that just creating different issues?
It would be very impactful for Madronia right now. I think over time it could definitely be a consideration as their enrollment is changing. With the establishment of their Academy of Arts and Sciences, we're seeing like a different attraction for Madronia. And so I do think over time, if their enrollment stabilizes at the same rate it already has. So we're seeing, like we had 2 TKs this year and 2 TKs next year there, and that growth pattern continues, then I could see us discussing that.
Trustee Gill.
I support option 1. It seems like a no-brainer to put the new housing development, the sanctuary, into Maple's enrollment area. There's no disruption to anyone. And since I spend a lot of time in Conejo Creek condominiums, I see strong positives out of reducing that area from 3 schools to 2.
Yeah, I would agree as well. And it sounds like that we've assessed the potential impact on Banyan, which sounds limited because in that area of the 74 students, only 33 are currently attending Banyan, and we do have the grandfathering and all that, which I think is important not to be disruptive. So having 3 schools in one neighborhood seems kind of silly. So going down to 2 makes a lot of sense. Trustee Powell.
And I'm just looking at this map. And it looks like Maple is closer to these neighborhoods in Banyan, or how does that work? Is it just different?
Yeah, it's just
But
different.
it's not farther.
No.
Or more complicated to get to.
No, especially because Banyan is up Lynn Road. And so it keeps these families on that north side of Lynn Road.
Sorry, I enlarged the map, and I'm just kind of staring at some of the boundaries. No,
I do-
no commentary.
It's been a few months. I mean, actually, I should say it's been 4.5 years since I've been in this position that I've been looking at that map. So it only took me 4.5 years to get here with you to where I really felt like we were ready to make some changes possibly. And I do think that the new development is part of that impetus to go ahead and do an examination of the boundaries.
And I also think this dovetails nicely with the presentation we just heard regarding Maple's, I don't want to say rebranding, but Maple's emphasis on outdoor space and low technology and kind of creating a new name for itself. So the two kind of go very well together. Hence why they're part of one presentation and discussion. Any other comments? Trustee Goldberg.
I just wanted to say, you said, 4.5 years? It's been almost 20 that I've been looking at this map thinking these boundaries are really interesting. And when you said Mrs. Hannah, I was like, oh, then it's great. She knows everything, where everything is. And
Yes, she has an amazing map on her wall in her office that has all the school areas separated. I took like 30 pictures of it when I was in there because I'm not even sure that that map exists digitally. So I need to digitize it in some way or move it to my own office.
She spent a lot of time with those.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about that area too, and how it makes sense to maybe have it be just split up by 2 schools. But we also have to acknowledge, because there's 74 current Banyan students, is that right?
Only 33 of those students are Banyan students of the 74.
Okay.
The rest, there's about 16, I believe, that are in the Earths attendant, attend Earths, and then the others are variety.
Okay, so 33. So we'll have a few years where there might be some grandfathered, so we'd still have, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, am I seeing any other questions or comments? I don't, so thank you, both of you, for coming and presenting tonight.
Thank you.
Does anyone need a break? We have a few more items to cover. I think we're good. Okay. All right, we are now on item 5C, approval of permanent status for high school pilot classes. Mr. Liu, any comments?
Other than just that each year we bring forward actually the next set of 3 items in spring with a lot of great excitement as we work with our incredible teachers to bring forward piloted courses as well as approval of permanent courses. Sorry, I am getting ahead, and then eventually some new instructional materials for next year.
I will say, one of the questions that came in from a board member is, we see the creation of classes, but we never see the elimination of the classes. I will let the board know, we have never gone through a formal process of eliminating classes that are no longer offered on our high school. We do update our course catalogs at our high schools and secondary school or middle schools. And there would be classes that fall off each year when they're not being offered. So it's really handled through what's being placed in the course catalog of each of the schools.
And just to that, sometimes, we have a break in a particular class. So, say a particular teacher maybe retires. We have a hard time finding that particular content area teacher to come teach that course, but then find someone maybe a year later. Another example of this would be as we've been readjusting our middle school math pathways, we had already had a created Math 6 honors course, and so since that course already existed, we are just now, as Dr. McLaughlin shared, adding that to our course catalog and implementing it.
And the other piece is I do think it's important to give our teachers the ability to be creative and come up with courses that I think, one, they're excited about, and not just a master schedule that is giving to them, here's your classes for this next year, but knowing that they are able to build and be excited about the classes and the students that are in those classes. So I do think it's great for our teachers to work through the creation process and be able to have different offerings.
It's a great list. I mean, I have to say, I wish you offered some of these back when I was in high school. So I very much appreciate the teachers bringing these forward. So again, this is a discussion. We will vote on this probably at the next meeting. Any other comments on this?
I would just say, look at all those CTE classes. Oh my gosh, amazing.
All right, we are now on approval. Again, it's a discussion. Approval of new middle school and high school pilot classes. This is moving a step back. Mr. Liu.
Yeah, just a little bit about the process. All of the courses here that we're proposing to be pilot courses would be new courses that we would implement next year. The process is really individual or sometimes groups of teachers. They will write new courses. They'll create course outlines and go through a process where they share and get approval from their particular department at their school, and then meet in articulation with content area teachers from across the school district to discuss the idea and get the approval of that articulation group. And then the final step is to move them forward by a vote for approval through the Secondary Curriculum Advisory Council or Committee. And so you can see them listed here. I will just say one of the particular courses, just to highlight, is the piloting of a personal finance class. So Ms. Judd worked closely to form a committee really representative of all of our high schools. So each had an economics teacher participate in the committee, and they developed a proposal for a new personal finance course. Personal finance is a new statewide graduation requirement effective the class of 2031, and districts per the law are required to start implementing the course in the 27-28 school year. We, of course, would love to get one additional year ahead, and so the plan right now is to offer the personal finance course as an elective, to offer that at least one section, but again, based off of the requests from students to, again, pilot the course as an elective, and then to have ongoing collaboration with those pilot teachers to see what we think, and then obviously make improvements and adjustments. With, of course, next year, we would propose that would become a permanent course.
And that class is just going to be at TO High School, or is that every high school?
It'll be offered at Conejo Valley High School. It'll be offered at all of our high schools.
Okay.
The personal finance course.
The chart says just TO, but good.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Liu, just a question, because I know sometimes folks will say, well, will think maybe that this is a district-type initiative, one of these classes. Are all these classes being generated from teachers and or a change in law that we're looking forward to, or are any of these created by the district?
None of these are created by the school district. Personal finance, as I mentioned, is a requirement from the state, similar to ethnic studies recently. We follow California law and are happy to have great teachers that can help us with that effort. But all these other courses, which are really innovative and, of course, developed by our teachers, bring a lot of energy and excitement, because it is our teachers who work and know closely who our students are. They know what is engaging, and I think that these set of new pilot courses really reflects that.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Any other questions or comments on the pilot classes? All right, again, also a really exciting list. Yes. Now on 5E, which is presentation and discussion of new instructional materials adoption for the next school year. Mr. Liu.
I will take a moment to just sign in. I have just a very brief presentation as we do each year. This is always a test of my eyesight. So as I shared, each year we bring forward around this time any new district-wide adopted materials, instructional materials that we want to present, of course, to the Board of Education for their potential approval, as well as for the public to have an opportunity to know and understand what these new instructional materials are. And so with that, I will just do a brief review of pertinent policies, talk about the rationale provided by our teachers for selecting these materials, and then share some cost estimates for the materials. I may say it a couple times, but we do receive restricted dollars for instructional materials, and that is what we would be slated to use for these particular materials. Just to follow along the theme, before I get to the policies, all of these instructional materials are materials that our teachers have brought forward to us. None of these have been materials that the district office or Ms. Judd has selected for teachers to do. We depend greatly on our teachers to review and make recommendations for instructional materials, and we're really proud to follow their lead. And so looking a little bit into our board policies, this just notes that the Board of Education shall adopt instructional materials based on a determination that those materials are an effective learning resource to help students achieve grade level competency, and that the materials meet criteria specified in law. The review process per our policy and as current to our practice substantially involves teachers and encourages the participation of parents and guardians and community members as we provide a public opportunity for parents and guardians as well as community members to inspect those materials. This also notes that in our school district, we have the option to pilot instructional materials, which is the case that we often do take. Pilots come in big and small spaces. Sometimes it's just two teachers piloting a set of instructional materials. I know that come next year, we'll have a pilot that maybe involves 150 to potentially 200 teachers when we look at math. But that'll be the excitement of next year. So the instructional materials that we are bringing forward to adopt for next year district-wide are those listed here. Those are in the areas of science, for chemistry honors, world languages, for French, and mathematics for advanced placement statistics. So just diving in a little bit, this is some of the information that we were able to get from our teachers. You can see what the particular recommendation is in terms of the curriculum and the publisher. On the left is the process and the timeline. I will say generally for all of the next three slides, that process and timeline again has involved our teachers working together to review instructional materials, to see if there are any updates in our frameworks provided by the State of Education, and then ultimately moving through a process to determine what teachers felt like is the most appropriate, and then moving them through and eventually getting those approved through the Secondary Curriculum Advisory Council. The rationale for this particular world language instructional material, just to highlight briefly, you can see a list of the bullets for the rationale. Some of the rationale includes this particular set of materials has activities that provide immediate student feedback. We hear from teachers time and time again the importance for student learning and engagement, for students to have the opportunity to have immediate student feedback. Teachers also felt that these materials had a really a deep reflection of not just instructional, but also cultural and authentic information presented through videos. You can also note too, on the bottom, there's interactive maps and embedded audio and images that really, again, brought to life the particular study here of French. The next is for grades 10 through 12 in science for chemistry honors. You can see, again, the name of the recommended material as well as the publisher. Timeline, again, very similar. These particular materials, I do want to emphasize and have a lot of joy and excitement to see that, teachers saw that there were multiple means of representation and multiple means of engagement. Again, just finding instructional materials that allow teachers who, again, aren't teaching textbooks, but who are teaching the standards. Teachers felt that this would be a great tool for them, again, to provide multiple means for students to engage in the content. And then finally, for AP Statistics, you can note here the name of the materials as well as the publisher. To talk a little bit about the rationale here, these materials are updated to reflect the requirements set forth by the College Board, which are updated regularly. As those College Board requirements do change, we do want to find materials that are also subsequently updated. And then I would just emphasize here that these materials, the teachers noted, provided important real-world connections and applications to statistics and learning. So altogether, kind of in summary, again, this is what our teachers are recommending that we're bringing forward to the Board of Education. You can note here the estimates and costs, again, using restricted funds that we receive from the state specific for instructional materials. So our next steps is to provide access to the materials at our district educational center. We will also be providing them at all of our high school main offices for parents and guardians to review. We will be scheduling and providing information to the public regarding an instructional materials preview webinar with Ms. Judd and myself on the 14th. And then our plan is to bring these forward on the 20th for the board's consideration and hopefully the final approval. If we get that final approval, we go forward with the exciting steps of providing and scheduling teacher professional development, which likely we would try to schedule either in June or, of course, in August before we start the year, and then subsequently order the materials as soon as possible. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Any questions or comments? All right, well, thank you for walking us through all that detail. Appreciate that. And I see no other comments or questions on this topic. So we are going to move along to our next item, which is F, Board Committee Reports. Do I have any reports from committee members? Trustee Gorbach.
We had a wellness committee meeting, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, we had a tremendous discussion about the district's PE requirements, or not requirements, PE presentations. And it's a lot different than when I went to school where we had to take those darn tests and everyone knew when you were out of shape or couldn't do it. This is, I'm not speaking from personal experience. Yes, I am. But this was talking about the skills that we teach in elementary and then middle school that are lifelong. And I'm talking about skills, not just skills like hitting a baseball, but skills like working as a team, participating, engaging, things like that. So it was a wonderful presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was informative.
Thank you. Trustee Kearns, did I see you?
Yes. So we had a tech committee meeting, 2 of them actually, between our last board meeting and now. And I was voluntold to give the report, and so I took diligent notes at the first one and left all of my tech at home for the second one, so did not take any notes. But yeah, we eliminated bring your own device policy, learned about the Lightspeed parent portal, started drafting, and then in the subsequent meeting, reviewed the completed draft, kind of separating out the policy. I was told they're wrapping up board policy drafts by April 30th, so I'm not sure where they are on that. That was a joke. It's clear that has finished. But yeah, so great tech committee meeting. I believe it was also 20th year next year, so kind of exciting. I think Dr. Suter mentioned something about paying for my flight back home to come celebrate with you all. So I don't know, we'll have to see on that. But Yeah, that's my tech committee report meeting. And sorry I missed the wellness meeting, Dr. Chamberlain. You're still here. Awesome. I apologize.
Thank you, Trustee Kearns. I'm sure we can jet you home, probably not. Okay, any other committee reports? All right, excellent. We are now moving on to comments from the Board of Education. Trustee Kearns, you're up.
Okay. Pretty brief tonight, going on hour 3 here. So we had our last SEDAC meeting on the 27th here in this room, and we conducted our elections process. So kind of bittersweet for me, but fun to run the elections process. I got to bang the gavel a lot, so it was really exciting. Yeah, so that all went smoothly. We have some pretty robust competition for a lot of our elections. And I know a lot of people have been waiting on the results for who's going to replace me on this seat. So I'm ready to provide an update about that, Ms. Judd. The person who is replacing me will be told to you all via email on Friday. So that was... I know, I could see you. I was like... But yeah, so that's the best update I can give you right now. Votes are still coming in. Real ballots have actually released. So if you have gotten your real ballot in the mail, make sure to send it in for the primary. Completely unrelated, but thought I'd mention that as well. Yeah, so I'm excited to get my replacement, I guess, and a lot of other executive board members, a lot of other potential executive board members, and some really incredible candidates. So I think there's really not going to be a wrong choice, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out on Friday. So everyone can patiently await. But that's all for me for tonight. Good night.
Thank you. Trustee Powell.
Second. Good evening. I'm happy to be here. Sorry, I have a mint in my mouth. I wasn't expecting that. Congratulations to our students that we honored tonight, to our Teacher of the Year, and thank you for Mandy Pollock for the SEDAC report. I want to say Happy School Nurse Day today. I have 2 nurses in my family, my sister and one of my nieces, so I understand the really important role that our nurses play on campuses. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I don't know that there's really any great way to just show the full extent of my appreciation, my gratitude for CVUSD teachers. But I will say that we all carry the lessons of that we learned from our teachers. I've, on social media this week, sort of shared some of my favorites for me growing up, and what they gave to me and what I still carry with me from my teachers. So thank you, teachers, for doing this work. There's a lot of groups and topics that we are honoring this month. I'm sure somebody will be talking about all of them tonight or tomorrow. There's a lot. I hope people will take the time to read the resolutions and, take some time to learn and understand about some of these groups of people and these events and these topics that we have decided to recognize this month. I wanted to say congratulations to the Westlake Elementary Odyssey of the Mind team for progressing to World Finals. This is huge. It's a team made up of 4th and 5th graders, and they've been working together as a team since 1st grade. So I know they've worked very hard to get to this point, to make it to the world. So we're very proud of you. And I think we're all probably feeling the post-spring break rush of activities. There's been a lot. The Sequoia, the 8th grade Sequoia showcase yesterday was like mind-blowing. Walnut Career Day was amazing. Getting to walk to school this morning with Weathersfield families and Iggy was great. We've got All District Music Festival. I went to a TO Westlake varsity baseball game last week. The TO High School Dance Department concert. And an event that especially touched my heart last week was the Westlake High School Spring Strings concert. It was a really beautiful night of music, no surprise. And Elizabeth Blake, who has run this program at Westlake High School as well as Los Cerritos, announced her retirement right after the concert ended. So there was a bit of shock in the room.
she just said some really beautiful things, about her 25 years here for CVUSD and how it all started, and really shared her love for her students and the work she does with them, and really, gave out that wish. Her wish is that they'll keep playing music. She got a standing ovation. There were lots of tears by parents and kids, and I just felt really, really lucky to be there to witness that and feel that love in the room. So congratulations to her on her retirement. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gorbach.
Good evening, and I particularly want to start off by wishing all of our teachers, I know that you're all out there listening because you have nothing else to do, a happy Teacher Appreciation Week. There's no limit to how much we appreciate our teachers. And school nurses, today is School Nurse Day. As I've said before, I had an office next to school nurses. They do more than just patch Band-Aids. I mean, they're more psychologists, counselors, unofficially. So thank you to them, to school nurses. Another congratulations to our recognized students today for both their literary arts and their science arts. We have incredible kids. I'm going to talk more about our kids in just a minute. To Mandy Pollock and Sabrina, Trina, thank you for what you have do with SEDAC and for all the families and to better the whole district. I also went to several nights of the All District Music Festival to see our kids perform and be on that stage, that magnificent stage, and to see our kids perform is just an experience that can't be duplicated. And I don't have kids that have ever performed there. When my kids were in the All District Music Festival, it was a small group at Westlake High School's gym. But to see those kids and to see the parents and the reaction, parents yelling down to their kids on stage, kids looking up, waving to their parents, magnificent experience. And that goes for all of our performances from our visual and performing arts programs. We have the best. To see our dancers, I have to mention dancers because Josh is here. We have the best dancers, theater arts programs, wonderful visual and performing arts. And yesterday, as Trustee Powell mentioned, we went to the World Problems and Solutions at Sequoia. I'll tell you, it was depressing and impressing at the same time. It was depressing of the problems that these kids are aware of and know of. It was impressing that their solutions and how their concerns. It was just absolutely wonderful seeing them. We have brilliant kids. One problem, and I'm going to address this to Trustee Kearns. I asked several kids that I thought displayed so much leadership and so much just demonstration of advanced leadership. And I said, have you thought about student DAC? And they said, what? So we have to publicize student DAC.
They said what?
They said
which school? I'm sorry, which school site was this? Middle school. Oh, their middle school. Okay.
Yeah, they're middle
They're
school.
off the hook. Well, I'll tell them to direct their concerns to the next chair, which is...
Will be announced.
Which will be announced on Friday.
Okay. And last but not least, to Trustee Kearns, also another comment, happy birthday on Friday. And thank you for all your contributions and all that you've done this year with both Student DAC and just as a fellow member of trustee.
Thank you. My birthday is the second most exciting news you all will be getting on Friday. So.
And that's it for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Gill.
Thank you. There are so many things going on, and you, my colleagues, have done such a great job highlighting them. I'm not even going to attempt. I will just say, Trustee Kearns, no one could ever replace you, but I am eager to find out who will join us next year, and happy birthday. That's all from me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Goldberg.
Okay, we can't wait for Friday. we've all done a lot of the same things, but one of the things I would like to just give a shout out that nobody mentioned was at Ladera Stars Academy had Publishing Day, where our students created works of fiction, biographies. They wrote books, they published the books, they illustrated the books, they were hardbound, and they passed hors d'oeuvres at this event. It was spectacular. Like the fifth graders dressed up, they passed hors d'oeuvres and little glasses of lemonade, and the whole event from start to finish was creative, engaging, and the pride on everybody's face was one of those things that those kids will remember forever. And I know because when I was in first grade, we published a book and I still have it. Also, I was able to go to what I decided was, since 2005, I have gone to see the 13 Colonies play. This year, in the 250th year of this nation, it was very poignant, and the students at Aspen did such a great job. And I was very appreciative to be there. One of the things that was evident in all of the events that I attended was a through line that was touched upon during the Teacher of the Year announcement today. Congratulations again to Natalie Taylor. It was about inclusion. When we were at SEDAC, there was a student athlete leader talking about what unified sports has meant to him. Not what he gave to it, but what it gave to him. He was articulate and poised and clearly, gladly embraced the unified message and lessons. It was a different kind of teamwork, empathy, friendships that he would not otherwise have had were it not for unified sports. It underscored what we all saw at the All-District Music Festival. Students of all talents and levels of ability stood on the same stage, shared the same spotlight, sang the same songs, and performed the same Frank LaGuardia choreographed movements, and everyone shone brightly. And then there they were again at Sequoia Showcase. This year, everyone participated. They presented their work with the same confidence and light. Students were able to research things that they found personally relevant, and they presented their own solutions. And every topic and even more, every student's thinking mattered, and it was great. That's the promise of inclusion. It's not charity, it's not an accommodation, it's an education that makes every child more fully human. We create spaces every day where children can shine, and that's not something a worksheet can teach. Other kids see it, the parents see it, teachers see it, we all see it, and those children see themselves differently. That's what our schools are really doing, and I needed to say it out loud. So I'm grateful to our staff, our teachers, our families, and especially our students for showing us again what this district is capable of. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Goldberg.
And happy birthday, Finn.
Thank you.
So I eagerly await Friday for all the excitement, and I think we've covered quite a lot of ground. I just want to say, hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow night at the State of the Schools, which is at 5 o'clock at Cal Lutheran. With that, I will turn it over to Dr. McLaughlin.
No comments this evening, thank you.
All right, with that, we are at section 6, which is adjournment. 6A is future board topics. Would board members like to add any topics for future board discussion in our remaining handful of meetings for the school year? Excellent. All right. Seeing no other agenda items, the meeting is adjourned at 9:11 p.m. See you all in a couple weeks. Good night.